Good afternoon. I am going to call to order this regular meeting of the Committee of the Whole for Wednesday, August 21st. My name is Andrea Jenkins, and I am the chair of this committee. With me at the dais are Council Members Palmisano, Johnson, Goodman, Ellison, Schrader, Council President Bender, as well as Council Members Gordon, Cano, Fletcher, and Councilmember Cunningham. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. And colleagues, the only business before us today is the receipt of reports from standing committees on matters to be considered by the full council at our regular meeting this coming Friday. And we'll begin with the Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee, chaired by Councilmember Goodman. My apologies.
Thank you, Vice President Jenkins. We'll be bringing 8 items forward for approval on Friday, when my dad will be here in the audience, so I want to note that for everyone from Chicago. Okay. Item number 1 are changes to our building code. These are, in a way, housekeeping amendments from the state building code, changes to the city's building code. Item 2 are some changes in the rental license reinstatement requirements. This has to do with some of the conduct on premise work that's been done and trying to get that in line with our rental license reinstatements. Item 3 is a license, a new entertainment license. Item number 4 is Councilmember Cano's tobacco shop ordinance spacing requirements. Item number 5 are liquor license approvals. Item 6 and 7 are both rental license dwelling reinstatements. And item number 8 is a contract with Midwest Urban Strategies for our regional workforce development services. Those are the 8 items. I also want to note that my office will have a resolution honoring Mariana Worgelin, who is the Finnish Consul General, who has completed 20 years of service as the Consul General for the country of Finland. And she, as well as I believe a few others from the Finnish American community, will be here as we present her this resolution on Friday.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Goodman, and I hope your father is able to enjoy a lively city council meeting.
I hope not.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Let the record reflect that we have been joined by Councilmember Warsame, and our next committee report is the Enterprise Committee given by Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We'll have 4 contracts coming forward from Enterprise recommended for approval that we will be moving on Friday. The first is for our ERP finance reporting services. The second is a contract with CenturyLink for voice and data telecom. This includes our telecom needs for the new public service building. Item number 3 is a contract with the Benefits Corporation for our COBRA administration and our Affordable Care Act compliance needs. Item number 4 is a contract with Deloitte for actuarial and consulting services for our employee benefits program. There is also one resolution that I will move to postpone one cycle on Friday such that we can commemorate it with Latino Heritage Month in September. So that's what I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Palmisano. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? Seeing none. Our next committee report is the Housing Policy and Development Committee, given by its chair, Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you very much, Vice President. The Housing Policy and Development Committee is coming forward with 5 items. The first is a North Side Art Space Loss Project financing approval. Second is a land sale, and the second and third actually both have to do with the new apartment building at the site of the Navigation Center near the Franklin Station. The first is a land sale of a small side yard, and the second of these 2, which is the third item on the agenda, is a resolution approving the financing. There's actually a series of resolutions for the significant project. The fourth item is approving a land sale and tax increment financing plan for Portland at 3rd. And the fifth item is authorizing submittal of our 2018 HUD Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Happy to stand for any questions.
Question from Councilmember Fletcher.
Thank you, Chair Jenkins. Not a question, but just a quick comment. We may be coming through with an amendment to the term sheet for the for the Minneapolis Fire Station #1 project. We're working something out that could get worked out later in the process as it goes through the TIF process, but if we can get it done by Friday, I'd rather just lock it down. So if I can come in with an amendment on Friday, I will, on one small detail of the term sheet. So just don't be surprised if that happens.
Thank you for alerting.
That's for
Committee.
number 4.
Councilmember
is that right? Is that
Gordon?
okay? Oh. All right, excellent. And that's actually a pretty significant project. Item number 4 is a downtown block there that will includes the redevelopment of our fire station #1.
All right. Are there any other comments or questions? Councilmember Goodman.
I don't want to mention this in the council meeting, but I just want to note that item number 1 is a huge deal. This is the result of about 6 years of work by Arts-Based Projects on the former Leaf site in the Harrison neighborhood, which is right on the border of Bryn Mawr and Harrison. It's a site that has a lot of peculiarities in that there's environmental issues, there's water table issues, but maybe most importantly, it's the coming together of Arts-Based Projects, Juxtaposition Arts, as well as Wellington to create artist live workspace, artist display space, as well as an office building that's already up and future office buildings. This is the first time that there's been a significant public investment in the Harrison neighborhood in North Minneapolis, where private developers have a lot of their own money in the game, as well as this relatively small tax increment district for the affordable housing and artist live workspace. It's a huge deal. I'm someone who probably will vote against almost any tax increment project. There's 2 on this agenda that I'm really supportive of. Also the one in item number 2. So I just want to note, I'm not going to say anything on Friday, and Councilmember Ellison might, but there were 3 different council members worked on this. It's a big deal, and it's really exciting. I mean, the fact that we would break ground on a $20+ million investment on the north side in this neighborhood without displacing anyone, in fact, creating more options for affordable housing and having essentially Class A market rate office space that's already leased so far, and they're building another building because it's been going so well. It's just a huge victory for North Minneapolis, and so I just wanted to point that out since we kind of have the room to ourselves and it's relatively private, that good things are happening, and sometimes it takes a really long time for them to happen, but it takes consistency on all the council members' parts to not carry grudges from previous council members and just work to make it happen, and that has happened here, and I'm really, really proud of it for everyone who's been involved.
Thank you, Councilmember Goodman, and thank you for just bringing that up. I mean, it is a really remarkable project, and Councilmember Ellison and I had a chance to really talk about it, and there's affordability in the project, which is really 100%, so it's amazing, yeah. Are there other questions or comments? Seeing none, our next committee report is the Public Health, Environment, and Civil Rights Engagement Committee, and that report will be given by its chair, Council Member Cunningham.
Thank you, Council Vice President Jenkins. The Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee is bringing forward 4 items for approval on Friday. The first is passing an ordinance adding and amending provisions related to places of adult entertainment, as well as directing various department staff to dig into the work further. Item number 2 is accepting a grant from Hennepin County for teen pregnancy prevention services for the health department school-based clinics. Item number 3 is authorizing a contract with Bridge Health Care Partners to provide revenue cycle management, billing, and consultation and training services to the school-based clinics program. And our last item for approval will be a grant from Hennepin County for mental health services at the school-based clinics. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, the next committee report will be the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, given by Chair Cano.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. And the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee is bringing forward 5 items for consideration. One is authorizing an increase to a contract with ShotSpotter Inc. for support and maintenance of our ShotSpotters gunshot location system. Item number 2 is a contract with SecureNet LLC to provide a virtual safety network for crime investigations. Item number 3 is a 2019 fire prevention grant from FM Global for smoke detectors and fire prevention educational materials. Item number 4 is a 2019 community partnership grant from Centerpoint Energy for medical service bags and tourniquets. And item number 5 is a contract amendment with the Minnesota Homeland Security and Emergency Management for the police bomb disposal unit. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chair Cano. Are there any questions? Are there any questions? The next committee report is the Transportation and Public Works Committee, and that report will be given by Councilmember Fletcher. TBW, or unless Councilmember Bender wants to do a report.
I was not aware, but I can certainly give it.
Sorry.
No problem. So Transportation and Public Works is bringing through 6 items for consideration. The first is a contract amendment with CDM Smith for Fridley Filter Plant Rehabilitation Project. The second is approving the layout and designating the location for the 27th Avenue Northeast Reconstruction Project. Item number 3 is the Transportation Economic Development Program funding for Dowling Avenue North Bridge, and then similar program funding for Dowling Avenue North from I-94 to 1st Street North. And item number 5 is assumption and consent to assignment agreement between Granite Inliner and Lametti & Sons for installation of large diameter pipe. And item number 6 is an agreement with MWMO for modeling Como Southeast Minneapolis Industrial University Research Park and the University of Minnesota Regional Watersheds. I'm happy to stand for questions.
Thank you for stepping in, Councilmember Fletcher. Appreciate that. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, the next committee report is the Ways and Means Committee, given by Chair Morsami.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Ways and Means Committee is bringing forth 14 items for council approval. Items number 1 and 2 and 3 are legal settlements. Item number 4 is a contract amendment with the June Steel Company for additional structural steel work for the public service building. Item number 5 is a contract amendment with B&D Associates for reduced costs for masonry construction for the public service building. Item number 6 is a contract amendment with RTL Construction for drywall work for the public service building. Item number 7 is a contract amendment for Modern Piping Inc. For mechanical work, also for the public service building. Item number 8 is a contract amendment with Denny's Construction Company LLC for structural steel installation for the public service building. Item number 9 is a contract amendment with Spec 7 Group LLC for reduction in scope for waterproofing work for the public service building. Item number 10 is a bid pack 5 for the public service building project, solar array. Item number 11 is a bid pack 5 for the public service building project, landscaping. Item number 12 is a customization of contracts form with Smart Procure Inc., DBA Gov Spend for software subscription licenses. Item number 13 is a contract amendment with Robert Sheck Building Partners LP for lease of First Precinct office space at 25th 4th Street North. And number 14 is a contract amendment with SMG US Bank Stadium for traffic control services. And I'll answer any questions that anyone may have.
Thank you, Councilmember Morsami. Are there any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, the next committee report then would be the Zoning and Planning Committee, given by Chair Schrader.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Zoning and Planning Committee has one item for approval on Friday. It is, well, it's actually been withdrawn. It was a rezoning application for 1701 44th Avenue North, and I'll stand for any questions.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. I just wanted to speak quickly to that item. It's a project that I strongly support in my ward. I have spoken to the business owner, and he is withdrawing his application now, but will be resubmitting it once the 2040 rezoning rolls out. So just wanted to let folks know the update and why it was being withdrawn, but it will be resubmitted. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, the next committee report is the Audit Committee, given by Chair Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. There is nothing that comes forward for council approval from our audit committee for this Friday, but I did want to point out that at audit committee this week, we received and published a report on our IT analytics hub, and that really has to do with how we could start to lay down the groundwork of how we use data as an asset in our city better and establish some better policies and governance around that. It was useful, but very technical, that report. That council members Warsami and Schrader both know exactly what I'm talking about as they sit on that committee too. We also added two things to our future work plan on audit, one being a citywide gift card management audit of how we use gift cards around our city, and the second being about cybersecurity risk management. I wanted to point out to my colleagues that we then adjourned this committee to September 11th, when we will be ready to receive and publish the off-duty work audit in collaboration with MPD. So I wanted to make that note. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Chair Palmisano. Are there any questions? Seeing no further business before this committee, we are adjourned.